Hello, everyone. Awesome. Okay, so it looks like this time it went a little bit more flawless. Welcome, everyone. I see there are some more people joining. Kostas Simopoulos and Lucky Wobo. I hope I'm mentioning that correctly. Wobo. Good evening, everyone. So, this upcoming session, I will be speaking about our amateur football contracts. Okay, so like I was mentioning earlier in the previous session, the amateur football contracts is one of the ways in which our agency has been able to come up with and provide the best, most comprehensive service that we could possibly give for the capacity of our agency for players who are amateur and they are playing outside of the European Union. Or I'll use myself as an example. I am an American footballer, so I am not part of the European Union. I do not hold the European passport. Even though with my American passport, I can come to Europe as a tourist, it does not give me the visa or the capacity for me to stay here long term if I wanted to come play as an amateur footballer. Okay. That's where our program comes in. And I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes talking about it. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, I can see them in the chat. But if not, I'm going to go ahead and dive right in, okay? So first off, we do call it a amateur footballer contract, but in reality, an amateur footballer cannot sign a contract. So this is called a prevail agreement, okay? And the prevail agreement is an agreement that we as an agency can send to the player to their country of origin. And this is part of the very many steps that we need for a player to actually come here to Greece. Some of those steps include a list of different documents that a player will need to submit to the Greek embassy or the European embassy in their country. Because sometimes, and this is where it gets a little more technical, sometimes there won't be a Greek embassy in a particular country, but let's say, for example, an embassy from France or an embassy from Portugal or an embassy from Spain can act as a proxy embassy for Greece. It doesn't happen everywhere, but we need to say it because we want to be transparent and honest that that's sometimes how it works. Going back to the transparency of Greek embassy for myself, I got to go to a Greek consulate, that acts as an embassy, and they gave me a list of papers that they needed to be able to provide me with what's called a national visa D for long stay. Okay, national visa D. In different countries, they have different codes, but I believe it's national visa D 2.7 A 2.7.2. I think it's 8.2.7. I'm sorry. And this was a very particular visa that I got as a footballer. Okay. So what does this entail? There is a list of papers that a player must submit into the embassy of their particular country for them to be considered, okay? For them to be considered to be given a national visa D. Over the years, we've seen a lot of players attempt to, come get a visa, but unfortunately, due to, for example, they ask for a criminal background check, or they ask for bank account numbers, or they ask for a health check. You have to go to your doctor, and you have to state that you don't have any diseases that can travel to Greece, right? All of these things are important because in this point in time, the Greek government is actually, they're trying to scan everything about you to make sure that you, as a human being, as a person, can come to Greece and be part of the Greek society, be part of Greek life, right? You're not going to bring any diseases. You're not here to steal anything. So it's a very serious process, but it's doable. It's done, and we've done it multiple times over and over and over again. But I have to emphasize how serious it is, and how important it is that all the paper that we request and that the embassy requests be provided. Sometimes we work with footballers, so we ask, hey, it's nice to meet you. Can you please send us your CV or send us a copy of the visa that you currently hold, or send us a copy of your birth certificate? And they don't send it, right? And a lot of players ask, hey, can you guys help us? Can you guys help us? Yes, we want to help everyone, but everybody has to be able to cooperate with us. And if we ask for paperwork, it's because we know that we're going to need it for the embassy. Okay. So that's a little bit of the beginning. We're going to have a seminar where we just talk about this in extreme depth. I only have a few minutes left here, and I'm going to touch on some other topics that have to do with the amateur football contract. But I want to emphasize how important it is, the investment of time, the investment of money, right? Because at the amateur football level, unfortunate for a lot of footballers around the world, there's a massive investment of money. And I say massive in comparison to different countries, okay? Because if you want to compare that to some of the other programs that we've seen in Europe, where they don't guarantee that you'll play official matches, it's a really, really good investment, right? It's an investment. Like, we don't see it as you're spending money, you're investing into your career, because you hard-heartedly believe that you can play at this level. Okay, so what do we do here? We handle the process from start to finish. We, with all the process that I stated, we get a 1-year visa with an amateur contract for a player, and this is pretty much 100% guaranteed. Okay, after you get the 1-year visa, once you come to Greece, we can offer a 1-year resident permit, so you become a Greek resident. All right, you become a Greek resident, which gives you access to the European Union. If you want to travel to another part of Europe, this residency gives you access to that. Okay, and obviously there's some other papers that you get here when you get here, some tax numbers, national insurance for health. All of these things I've personally done, have helped players get as well, and it's been a really, really good experience. Okay, after you get the resident permit, we can help you get a 1-year football passport. Okay, what does this mean? It is not your regular passport. This is a passport that pretty much allows you to travel between teams. It allows the team that says, hey, I want this player, to go over to you and sign you to their club. Okay, but I do want to make sure it is understood that it goes visa, resident permit, football passport, and you cannot get the football passport without the 2 preceding steps. So it's very important, but we can get it, and we've done it multiple times. And this is why we're so confident in providing this service for amateur players. Okay, after you get your football passport, what we do is we can guarantee that we can place you in a team in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th division of Greek football, or 5th, right? This all depends on you. We cannot guarantee that we're going to take you to a team in Athens or a team in Crete or Thessaloniki or Rhodes if you don't have the level, right? No one, and I repeated this earlier, and Gregory mentioned it as well, no agent can guarantee that you will be a professional footballer if you've never played professional football. We can very quickly, in this very digitalized world, we can very quickly go and find out if you're an actual football professional or if you're an actual agent. And from there, we can see, okay, this player, A, he can play at the professional level, or B, they've never been professional. They want to be professional, but they have to come and play at the level in Europe that they're currently at. And from there, grow. Gregory mentioned that once we have players here, we can help them grow into much better players. Okay, so we can place you on a team. At this point, we do have a minimum football salary that is guaranteed for 8 to 9 months out of the year. Depending on the team, depending on different situations, this minimum football salary will change, but it is guaranteed that you will have some money to eat, to live, and be a person here in Greece, right? You also get 1 year of health insurance in Greece. We do have a plane ticket, 2-way. In I'm going to talk about refunds in a second, but we also offer the option, and we've been working with this, throughout the year, so that we can build stronger relationships. In case a player wants to earn some of their investment back, we have been working with some of the local industries, for example, the hotel industry, to help some of our players earn some of that money back if they wish to work. Right, while they train, they work. A lot of players do that here, where they come, they're training, they're working during the day, training in the evening, playing their matches. So we can also help the player find accommodation, and also help the player find a way to find some, like, how to cook, or a place where they can get food. Okay, so that's the overall list. Obviously, I'm not going too much in depth, but and we're going to answer questions towards the end. I do see in the chat here. That's our visa, 1 year visa process for amateur footballers. Every single country has a different list of items that they need from each player, but these are some. I'm going to mention some of the ones that the almost every single embassy requires, but it is not included in the service, with the fee that we include. Let me give an example. If I were to pay ID soccer for this visa, that is one investment. On top of that, me being in the United States, I would have to go and I would have to pay for a criminal background check, a birth certificate, which has to be apostilled. And I have a little anecdote about that. It has to be a particular type of birth certificate. You have to have a medical certification, which I've mentioned in the past, travel protection insurance, and also you have to pay for the application for the visa. Okay, so those are another 5 items that are not included in our service, but are mandatory for you to apply to get this visa. Okay, we also, I also want to mention, and I'm going to emphasize this again and again, there is not enough players, right? It sounded silly to me at first, but there's not enough players here who can actually try to compete to become professional footballers. That's where we again find ourselves in the crux of the amateur footballer who doesn't have a contract, who's never played professional, and the possibility of playing professional football. Okay. Before our next session, I will mention what we as an agency have as a refund policy, right? If it's our fault that something goes wrong, you do get a refund, right? You do get a refund if it was on our end. Okay, but for most of our purchases, especially when we can get you a visa, when we do succeed in finding something for you, it's very difficult, and the purchase from you, it's almost non-refundable, right? Here at ID Football, we want the highest level of your success. We really, really want every single player to succeed. And that requires a commitment from both you, the player, and us as the agency, or you, the coach, the scouts, the agent, and us as an agency. And we need that to be a full investment. Okay. When refunds are optional, you can also have a foot in the work and a foot out the door, because you say, I can get my money back in case this doesn't work. But it's to your benefit to commit completely and fully before you commit to the program, right? And you start working with us. If you're in, you're 100% in, because we're 100% in. It wastes our time and our energy and our resources to help players who might want a refund because it didn't work out for them, while we're doing 100% on our end to do it. So that's our hands-on approach. We want to make sure that everybody understands that we do have a refund policy, but it's in a very particular space. But overall, we do want to help as many players as we can come and play at the amateur level. And I think, right on time, almost done. Okay, so up next is our next session, which will start in a few seconds. We're going to start talking about trials. All right, so stay tuned for a few seconds and we'll continue going.